Hi, this is Thomas from Regula IT Services. Welcome to another video of Slice of Business Wisdom. Today I have a person whom I am interviewing who's been in training field, who's been training thousands of individuals for over 15 years now, and she is one among the very few licensed neuro-linguistic programming trainers in India. Somebody who has been trained directly by one of the founders of NLP, by Richard Bandler, and she is having said that she is one of the very few people in India who has been directly trained internationally by the founder, one among the founder itself, and also having trained for 15 years. I am really grateful for this individual to come and join us in this interview. She is none other than Hema Manu Anand. She has been training for 15 years now, and she is one of the most sought after trainers in this field in NLP. In fact, I have a personal experience of this. When I was talking to a friend of mine about NLP, the first name that he had referred was Hema. Thank you very much, Hema, for accepting this request and coming here. And the purpose of this is basically, of course, to introduce you and also to help hundreds and thousands of other aspiring entrepreneurs who want also to get into probably this field of training, and also who want to understand how NLP can really transform their lives. So just like the name suggests, it's something to do with programming of the mind, and it's a proven methodology that this can actually transform someone's life. I'm sure this video is going to help many who are listening in creating a foundation or a starting point in transforming their life into becoming much better. So I've given a little introduction about you. Of course, I know I've not covered anything that you do. I would like you to take a few minutes and tell exactly what you how you help your customers. How do you transform their life? Please.
Thank you, Thomas. That was a very nice introduction. Just few things, just so people can understand who I am. I was initially back in Melbourne for a long period of time. From 2001 till 2013, I was in Melbourne. And during that time, I went through some personal tragedies in my life. And I actually approached psychiatrists, psychologists. They're all pretty great professionals, and they all helped me a lot. But there was a time when I was just stuck. I did not know how to move forward. And that's when I landed into an, like one of my colleagues was like really good at coaching me, and I actually asked her to help me, and through her I landed to her institute called the Coaching Institute. This is in Melbourne, and I got somebody to coach me, and they did a brilliant job. Overnight I could see so much change in myself that I thought, if I learn this, and I can take control of my life completely. So that's when I started this journey of coaching and learning NLP, and it did transform my life. As part of the journey, I started coaching other people, and it became my profession of choice because I could see the transformation and people could experience transformation very quickly. When I came back to India in 2013, I had the choice to either start purely a coaching business or coaching and training business. And I understood that when I do only coaching, I can only influence one or two people at a time. When it's a training, as part of corporate training or as part of my own public seminars, there will be a group transformation that can happen. And you never know what change, when, who is going to experience. So I started my coaching and training business. I've been running corporate trainings, and I've been coaching people as well. And I actually chose to go to Dr. Richard Bandler. Even though I did NLP a few times before, I wanted to go and learn it from Dr. Bandler, which I finished 3 levels. And now I'm one of the few licensed trainers, practitioners of NLP in India. So what do I do is, you come to my training and just sit there. Even if you don't do anything, just listen. And if you don't see any change in yourself, then your money back. Okay. So transformation happens so quickly at subconscious level. We don't have to consciously be aware of it. That's what I do. I work at the subconscious level. Amazing. Thank you, Thomas.
Yeah. So maybe for the audience, someone who do not understand what is NLP, and then who are the who should take up NLP, in what condition they should they be in, or should they be in a condition, or can anyone come? Can you give a little on idea on that? Like, who are the right the members who can come and join your training program? Who are the audience for you?
First, I'll tell you what is NLP, and that way when I tell about the audience, it becomes easy.
Yeah.
Neuro-linguistic programming, or NLP, is your ability to model somebody who is doing excellent in some field, but you do modeling in such a way, or imitating or copying in such a way, that you actually end up having their success or more than that. In simple terms, that's what NLP is. We anyway do that. When we were born, the reason we can talk the language we talk, we can do what we do, is all because of us mirroring or imitating our parents, mirroring or imitating our elders. That's what we did in NLP. And we actually, over time, we forget that. We actually become very engrossed in just memorizing certain stuff, and even then we imitate people that we like. So in NLP, the brain is already trained like that. It can imitate and learn. So in NLP, I will teach you the technique by which you can imitate. And that technique will help you to find firstly the person that you would like to imitate, and then imitate them. And it's not just imitation. Imitation is a simple word so that people can understand. The exact term is modeling. You have to model how they think rather than what they think. So this is pretty much is NLP, because what this means is it opens up choices. Doesn't matter whether you are a type of person, but if you want to be somebody else, you don't have to worry. You just need to find the excellence, and then you have to model them, which increases the options or choices in your mind. And our brain is designed to learn, unlearn, and relearn very quickly. So I will teach you how to implement that. That's what pretty much NLP does. Now, coming to the question of who would be right target audience. If anyone who wants something to be improved or changed in their life. In fact, CEOs of Google CEO has a coach. Google CEO, if you think in terms of worldly pleasures and pressures, he has everything. But they have coaches. The reason being, sometimes we get caught up in the life's chaos or life's dramas or problems or life's issues. Sometimes we forget that we have a choice. We just go with the flow. We just keep repeating doing what we are doing. If you want to go a different path, if you want to change your life, if you want to find a different way, if you want to get something, you need to think at a different level. You can't stand on the shoulders of the problems that you created at a level of thinking and find a solution. You need to go to the next level of thinking to find solution that you created at a lower level. So that NLP will help you to see. So people who are facing problems, or people who are not able to get out of the rut, they feel stuck, or people who are performing but they're not able to enhance to the next level of performing, all those people can come for NLP. And does it give you answers? No. The point is, in NLP, I don't give you answers. I ask you questions from which you will find the answer, because always the answer is within us. It's just that we are not asking the right questions. So that's how, for me, the audience or the clientele is anybody who wants to go to the next level in their life, irrespective of which field they are in. I personally specialize in performance enhancement and problem solving. So anybody who feels too much pressure, too much problem, they can come to me. Anybody who feels I'm doing this, but I can't grow my business to the next level, they can come to me. This is my clientele. And I do this even in corporate training without even mentioning that it's coaching. If somebody has to learn about time management, what we say is at conscious level, that they can get anywhere from a book. But for them to go through subconscious change, I teach them some techniques, some mind work that they can do at their own time, which will help them to create the change immediately. So that's my clientele, and that's NLP. Thomas?
Amazing. So basically, you're saying if a person has a role model in life and wants to become like that role model, you will basically show how quickly and scientifically they can reach there and become that role model or become much better than them.
Yes.
Amazing. Thank you. That was amazing sharing. Yeah. So next question is, people whenever I interview someone, of course, I interview someone who's already been successful in business for quite some time. But we all know that, businesses, 9 out of 10 businesses fail. They don't make it, within the first 3 or 5 years, they fail. So when I interview someone who's crossed that 3 or 5 years threshold mark, I usually ask these questions. What are the top your training career, and how did you overcome them? The intention behind these answers that you're going to be is it's going to be an inspiration for those who are watching this video. So what are the challenges that you faced and how did you overcome them? 3 of them.
Okay, sure. The number one challenge, which is common with all businesses, irrespective of whether you're selling a product or a service, is finding customers. People sometimes get stuck with the product. I have the best product, so people should come to me. Not really. Unless people know that you are selling the best product, they will not come to you. And there are so many products in the world which are not the best. There are better versions than that, but they are more popular purely because they know how to sell. So the first challenge I did have is finding the right customers. That was the biggest challenge I had. And I realized the value of networking. It's not about having a brilliant idea, your ability to network and sell the idea. So along with that comes communication. You need to be able to communicate what you have in your mind. So I'm going to cluster it all together, finding your customer. You find your customer, and to do that, you need to network. For networking, you need to speak well. Number two, second challenge I had is once you do find your customers, once you do establish a network, once you do have the product or the service that everybody likes, they get tired of it. You need to keep innovating and improvising it. You need to keep working on making it better than it was. If I am able to coach somebody, and I'm just giving an example in my profession, okay? If I'm able to coach somebody in 1.5 hours, in a year's time, I should be able to coach them in half an hour, plus give them some strategies. So you need to improvise. I'm not saying this is the only way. You need to improvise your business so that your competition cannot reach you. You'll always be at the top of the circle. And to do that, you have not just in my coaching, but also in my training. If I say Rejola IT Services wants me to come and run a customer service training, I come and run a training for you, and you really love it, and you want me to come and run it again in 6 months' time. If I run the same topic again, it won't add value. It still will add value, but it won't give you the feeling that it gave you the first time. So second time when I come, I have to improvise. So that's the second thing. Finding your clients is the first challenge. Number two is your innovation. You have to regularly improvise your product. Number three, how do you do that? You learn. You consistently need to learn. This is another challenge because when your business goes well and when things are falling in place, we forget to learn. We might sometimes feel that what we have, we can improvise it and that works. No, it's important that we find time to learn something in the industry that we are in. Every few months or I actually allocate budget in my business every year. I allocate at least 1 lakh for completely training. That is my investment for training every year. I have to learn something new, or I'll buy a new book. I'll buy a new set of CDs. I have to read it. Unless you dip in the knowledge enhancement, you will be left behind in the market. These are the 3 challenges, and these 3 consistently you have to keep doing. You never stop marketing. You never stop marketing. The first point, as I said, your customers are never customers. They are beautiful people. They are lovely people, but they look for the best. If someone is going to be better than you, they're going to go. So you have to keep on marketing. If you have 1,000 customers next year, you need to have at least double that number, or at least 1.5. Like, you have to keep on increasing your customer base. So marketing continues at the same time. Your ability to improvise your work should keep on. Innovation needs to be continuous. And last but not least, you need to keep learning. These are the 3 challenges for any businesses, I would say. In my business, definitely, yes.
Super. Thank you. What are the unique, services that you give? Or how do you differentiate yourself from others who are doing the similar kind of training? What differentiates you from others?
The differentiation, in terms of in theory, in paper, the differentiation is, I'm one of the, as I said, the very few licensed trainers and practitioners in India. When I say very few, you have to become a licensed trainer or practitioner. You have to learn from the heads of the NLP, either Richard Bandler or Dr. Richard Bandler or Dr. John Grinder. And they would expect, I'm a trainer under Dr. Bandler only for 2 years. Only for 2 years. Everywhere else you go, you get a certificate and that's lifelong. It doesn't work like that with Bandler. My certificate has got an expiry date. You know what does it mean? by Hema, you completed your training on, say, 10th January 2018. By 10th January 2020, you have to submit enough evidence to us to prove that you've been practicing. Otherwise, your practitioner certificate expires. So that's the level of stringency they've got, and it's 3 levels. So I've gone through all the 3 levels, and I've been proving again and again that I am a qualified trainer. And I've done my first year, like all the 3 levels finished. I've finished my first year of proving that I'm a qualified trainer as well. So that is, you can imagine the caliber of somebody who will be at that level. Otherwise, you can't. There are a lot of people who go and come back, and if you don't prove it, you can't have the certificate. So that is in theory, you can see the value, credibility it adds. In practice, it's fascinating how, because that process has automatically given me this power to create change anywhere. You can just ask me to do something now and I'll do it. Very few people will have the audacity to ask such challenge, but I run a lot of trainings. Wherever I go, if people ask me to demonstrate NLP, I'll just do a little bit to show it to them. And if you are stuck with something, I'll just say, give me 20 minutes. Let's talk for 20 minutes. And if it doesn't change, then I'll pay you for the 20 minutes time you spent with me. So I actually do believe that people can change, not because I'm good at it, but because people are so capable, extremely capable. It's just that sometimes we undersell ourselves. So my ability to say this audaciously that I can transform people has nothing to do with my skills. It's completely my trust and 100% faith in the person sitting in front of me. As long as they hear me and they are choosing to listen to me and their brain is working, that's all I need, nothing else. Change will happen automatically. With regard to corporate trainings as well, same thing. I don't use PowerPoint slides at all. Even if I do a whole day training, I do not use PowerPoint slides at all. It's completely engaging with people the whole day with activities, with discussions, not even a single dull moment. And I would love to. I usually say that, when you go to a training, if it's from 9 o'clock till 4:30 people will wrap and rush out. That's what people's tendency are generally. But I can tell you, even though there is no PPT and it's completely interactive and activity-based training, I rarely finish my trainings on time because people want to stay back and ask me lots of questions. What about this, Hema? And I tell them, look, you know that we have to wrap it by at least 5 o'clock. Some people still stay back. I've had training sessions where I finished only at 7 o'clock. That shows their level of engagement for a training that they're not paying, their company is paying, but they're choosing to come and stay back. So yeah, no PowerPoint slides, completely interactive. Change needs to happen in the room. That's my differentiation.
Amazing, thank you. Can you tell an example of one transformation story that happened, which, one example of something that happened in your past, half an hour, 1 hour, 2 hour transformation? I've already heard a couple of them. In fact, I'll myself tell. I remember you mentioned about, where a student was not willing to go to school or not willing to study, but then the parents brought the student to your place, and then you were able to help the student, and now the student is, willing to go to class and all that. So I remember you mentioning that few times. Would you like to share some experience like that?
Sure. I'll tell you one experience that I had with a boy and a grown-up as well. I was running a training in Bangalore more recently in February this year. I was in Bangalore on 9th and 10th of February. I did NLP Foundation workshop. And on the day 2, for the second half, one of my old participants who lives in Bangalore, she came with her 2 sons. The older son is in 10th standard. The younger one is like 6th or 7th, little boy. So when the older one was there, so I was teaching this technique to people. And I said, does anyone have anything that they like to change? And the mom said, can you do this for my son? Because he does it. He hates maths. He can't even stand maths. And I said, let's give it a shot. So I asked the boy, are you happy to give it a shot? And he was happy to. So I did this technique with him. I worked with him. I just showed him how the way he is perceiving maths, of course, it's going to give you fear. So I just changed the way he viewed maths. That's all. I asked him some questions. I made him to do something. I asked him to bring up the maths, think of maths, whatever came up. I just did some stuff. And after that, I left it. He didn't realize whether he had changed or not. But he did say that he doesn't feel nervous or anxious thinking about maths. But within few days, I got a feedback from the parent and the son saying that he was able to crack the maths exam very comfortably. And now it doesn't even feel like it's a subject that needs to be worried about. It's just like any other subject. They both sent me a testimonial, and I shared it with a group of people who trained under me so that they understand that it works. You need to use it. That was with a student. Well, if you ask me an example for somebody who has seen the change, there are lots, so I don't know which one to pick.
From a corporate, a business owner, or maybe a executive in some company. Since you covered a student, if you can cover.
Yeah. I can think of one that I again did recently in February for a company, for an IT company. It was a corporate training. And as I said, for my corporate training, I don't run any PowerPoint slides. I just run like activity-based training the whole day. And I had somebody there who actually said, that was about communication training, purely communication. How do you communicate with people? How do you communicate with different, in different situations? So that was my training. And there was one particular person, he had an issue with the customer, with a particular customer, and difficult customer, and he could not contact that customer. Just thinking about calling that customer was just annoying him, frustrating him, and he could not. And he said, every time I call, he annoys me. Every time I call, he annoys me. And I asked him, like, this is how kind of like I started. So if you're going to call now, is he going to annoy you? He said, yeah, that's true. Okay, can you tell me where he's sitting, what he's doing right now? No, I can't tell you that. Come on, you were able to tell me that he will be annoying you, which is going to happen when you're going to call. But if you can tell that, you should be able to predict whatever he's doing now. He said, no, I can't predict what he's doing. If you can't predict what he's doing now, how did you predict that he's going to be annoying in the next 10 minutes? And the conversation went like that. And the reason I asked these questions is to think that, to make him understand that what he projects is what he's getting actually. He is annoyed talking to that client. So he starts in a certain way. And that obviously is giving a message to the client that this guy is not interested in talking to me. And it just becomes like a vicious cycle. So I worked with him for just before the break, actually. Just before the break. The break usually is at 12:30. So he said he wants to talk to me. So I went, sent everybody, and we talked. And after that, I said, give it a shot. Give a call to the guy during the break and see what happens. And actually, he did. He did call the client, and then he came back after the break. He didn't even have lunch because he had such an amazing conversation for 45 minutes. He usually thinks that he can't even stand him for 5 minutes. He had a conversation for 45 minutes. He comes back and says, like, what did you do to me? I just didn't even feel anything. And we had wonderful conversation. Looks like we might be doing well. And I said, I didn't do anything. All I did was I asked you to look at it the way it is rather than look at the way that you created it is. And yeah, in 20 minutes, this change happened.
Amazing. I mean, having heard these two stories that you said, can we also call it as reprogramming rather than just programming?
It is absolutely reprogramming, Thomas. That's exactly right.
Okay.
And probably if the NLP practitioners, if they had a chance, they probably will rename it differently. I don't know, but it's pretty much reprogramming. So neuro-linguistic programming pretty much means linguistics is language. Using language, you create a neural pathway. You create a new neural pathway that ends up changing the programming that you've been designed to. So every time if you say, Hema, I get a call from this person, I look at the name of that person and I cringe because this person really doesn't listen to me, but then always yells. So this person, I look at their name and I cringe. So what are you saying is your neural pathway is like this. You look at it and immediately the nerve cells that are synapses that happens from here, a nerve ending attaches to another nerve ending, and there is an electrical power, and it goes all the way, and it's ending in a spot that is releasing hormones that's giving you anger and stress probably. So what do? I can't change the person's name I can't change the phone, but I can change where it ends up so that you see it, but then instead of going and ending in a part where you release negative hormones, I can end it in a different part where it can't release that hormone. If it doesn't release that hormone, then you won't feel anxiety and stress, but you'll feel differently. And that's pretty much, and how do I do that? You're just using language. So you change the programming. You're right, Thomas.
Amazing.
I think I've given more than what you asked me. Sorry about that.
No problem. Thank you very much. So we've come towards the end. I would like to take you to take a couple of minutes. We as Rejola IT Services, we had given a small service for you some time back with the software that we had developed. So you have experienced our services. I would like you to tell 2 or 3 things about what you liked about Rejola.
Excellent. The number one that stands out when I think of Rejola IT Services is the people that you've got. You've got amazing set of people. Durga, who worked with me, was really sweet. Like, you ask them for a request, you ask them some question at any time, they actually respond to you without even a small sign of like frustration or irritation. Especially, I know that because I'm from a non-IT background. So when she tells me something, I have no idea what she's saying. It's like we both are talking in Greek and Latin. So I would ask probably the dumbest question possible, but she never ever expresses frustration, or she never says, how come you don't understand this? You don't even, nothing like that. Not even not even in size. She just completely treats me as if I'm a valuable commodity, and my question is the best question she has ever heard in life. So the people you've got is your greatest asset, Thomas. I can tell you that. Number two, your commitment to work. You told me in the beginning that this will take this much time for us to design it, and then we will trial it for this much, and then if there is any tweaking, you do. And you kept all your word. You, whatever Rejola Services commits to their customers, they deliver it, maybe more and above, rather than underperforming. So I actually love your commitment. And number three, the something that really I enjoyed is the follow-up that we get. Like, Durga would always follow up with me regularly. If I'm happy with the service, if there is anything else I can help you with. And you did that as well. You are the managing director of the company, so you probably have lots on your plate, but that doesn't stop you. In fact, there was a time, remember I said my business needs to scale up before I could take it up. And you did not say that, Hema, you did not try to sell it to me. That's the beauty. It's not, the best salesperson is the person to whom we are attracted to. We want to go and buy from, rather than them screaming and asking you to come. And that's what Rejola does. Your quality is so good that if I want to enhance my service, I would definitely come to Rejola rather than anyone. I have the liberty to ask you, this is my budget, this is what I want, what can you do? And you would sit and work out with me. So, and you would follow up with that. So you've got a really good structure where there is good customer service, there is good follow-up, and commitment you guys keep up. So those are the 3 things that I can tell you I would strongly recommend Rejola for. And I know in the market there are so many service providers and there are so many different pricing. What differentiates a great company from others is their customer service. Their customer service is absolutely essential. And I can vouch for Rejola. Rejola, the moment you have a question or you have some concern, within 24 hours, they will get back to you. I mean, obviously, if I send a message at 1 o'clock in the morning, I can't tell you you'll respond to me at 1:05. But within 24 hours, I can guarantee that you will respond to me. If I don't get back to you, somebody calls me and talks to me. So in the market where there is so much competition, Rejola definitely stands out as one of the best.
Thank you. That was amazing. That really made my day. Thank you very much. And dear friends, so thank you, Hema, for accepting this request and coming and sharing about what you do and the uniqueness of your service and why you are one among the very few licensed holder and why yours is very differently delivered, the training that you are doing. Thank you very much for sharing. I'm sure this would be an amazing video for many who are watching. And for all of those who are watching, I'll be tagging Hema in the post that I'm going to do. So if you would like to get in touch with her, you can directly connect with her on the profile, both on Facebook and LinkedIn. Or you can get in touch with me. I'll also put you in touch with Hema. She can really transform lives with various examples that she's mentioned. So thank you once again, Hema. Thank you very much for your kind time and words. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you.